Tonight's topic is about the fear of change and about how people, especially when it comes to games and new editions, how they fear change, why they fear change, and actually, is it right to fear change? And the reason that this has come up as a topic because when it comes to doing topics for these Monday night live streams, I always I scan around the internet, I look around Facebook forums, I look around and see what the general what topics are creeping up, which is there anything that kind of sparks a bit of interest. And obviously the big news this weekend from Games Workshop was they are releasing a new version of Kill Team. Whilst the announcement at the weekend was very nice, I kind of watched that while I was kind of playing with a little one. It sparked over the last couple of days. It sparked this fear of change, and it's not everywhere. It's there's a mixture of people. Some people are really excited about it, but there are a small percentage of people who just seem absolutely scared to their back teeth about what does this mean for the game that I play and the game that I love already. And we'll come on to the Kill Team aspect of it as we go through the main topic. When we talk about the fear of change, what causes people to fear change? And as I kind of mentioned briefly, it's not just relevant when it comes to gaming, and I'll make it relevant, but it's also relevant in your everyday life, whether that's the change of the way the world's changing now, some lockdowns coming, some lockdowns opening up when it comes to COVID, if it comes to changing to a new job, all those kind of things, they all have this kind of fear of change. But we're going to specifically kind of aim it towards gaming tonight. So one of the things that people fear, and one of the reasons that they have fear about change, is because they have a fear of loss. And what I mean by a fear of loss is they fear about what they'll be losing. So will the parts of the game that they really enjoy, will they be removed? Will they change completely? Will the folks that I play the game with on a weekly or monthly basis, will they like the new version and will they go off and play something else? Or will I not like it, but they do, so they want to play it and I don't, kind of thing? And will it kind of fracture a community between the old version and the new version? And I think some see a change in the game as a bit of an attack on the game that they love. There's a lot of people have spent quite a lot of time to build up their kill team in this instance. They've spent time and money on buying expansions and buying models for kill teams and lovingly painting them and putting together tournament lists, because kill team can be quite a competitive game set. And I think that they feel this big threat of loss, that the thing that they've kind of poured their hobby time into is going to be taken away from them. I mean, if you think about even minor changes in rules, Kill Team itself, as it is now, is going to change completely. It's not like a tweak. It's not like they're updating it. They have completely changed the rules. There will be some similarities in the way that it was. So some things will kind of stay similar, but that's just because it's set in a 40k universe. It looks like, from what we know, that the game is going to be very different. So if you think about even minor changes like FAQs or errata, and how upset people get about that and what it does to their army, for example, you can imagine how people fear this idea of Games Workshop basically saying, we've got this brand new kind of rule set, we've developed it from the ground up, we've gone completely back to square one and started again. Of course, that's going to kind of ignite a bit of fear of change. Now, in my personal life, before I did this full time, which I do now, I've worked in kind of management roles in some big companies. And when you were about to go through a bit of a change process, if it's like new ways of working, sort of changing your location, downsizing, new projects, all this kind of thing, the thing that you're taught as a manager when you're trying to take people through this change process is that you have to anticipate how people might respond to this change and then listen to their concerns. So what you want to do is you want to kind of sit down with them, talk them through the change. Why are we changing? What's the change about? What's the outcome going to be? Why is it a good thing? That type of stuff. You need to give people the time to kind of absorb the change, and you kind of stress the positive side of things, if I'm honest. You tell them the truth, you make sure that you don't lie to them about this change, but you kind of stress the positives. Now, in terms of gaming, that's not always possible to do that. And it might be that the company is being intentionally vague because they might not want to kind of divulge all of the information straight away. They might have something to hide. Maybe the game's not quite as good as they wanted it to be. And it's not like these companies consult with the players to decide, so how do you feel about these changes? Are you happy with them before we go ahead? So it's not always easy to kind of manage it that way. But how these companies handle the announcements and how they kind of do their marketing does have a big role to play, and I'll come on to that as we go. Another reason kind of people fear this change when it comes to Kill Team and stuff and other games, there's a bit of confusion there as well. So people fear change if they don't understand it, or they don't understand, well, why is there a reason for it? And then they kind of start to resist the change. So in this instance, Kill Team's been quite happily played by quite a competitive community for some time now. The community have put a lot of work into getting it to a point where it is quite competitive and quite balanced. And Games Workshop haven't really technically supported it that well for quite some time now. We did have the Pariah Nexus release that came out not too long ago, but it wasn't really kind of, I don't think it was what the Kill Team community wanted. And then actually now with this announcement coming out, it almost looks like a little bit of a kick in the teeth to release that with this on the back of it. So I do kind of understand that, and the change causes uncertainty. It means pushing people out of their comfort zones a bit. And no matter how much we kind of complain about games becoming like stagnant and how we want sort of new releases and stuff, it's those routines, it's the familiarity with these games and the fact that we like how they play and the knowledge that we have of these games that makes us feel kind of quite secure in these games and why we keep coming back to play them. So the folks that love playing Kill Team how it is right now might not see the kind of the issues that the game has. It can be quite clunky, I think it's fair to say at times, but that they might overlook some of those issues, and so they don't really see a reason necessarily to change to a new edition. Another one is people this is going to make more work for me kind of thing. So people fear change because they can see that it's going to create more work, and in the gaming context, it means that the lists that they've spent time building to maybe be competitive, or they've built this list and then they've put together this army or this kill team and they've lovingly painted it and they've spent time and money and they've maybe got sort of like some little specialist parts. They might have sculpted some stuff. They might have searched around in bits boxes and online to get these certain bits that they wanted. And then all of a sudden, they can't use them anymore. So of course, it's going to create more work for people. So change does take time, and inevitably people are going to have to kind of sort of test some new approaches to the rules. People also feel losing control as well. They feel that they're going to lose control over the game that they love. The people that are most excited about the changes in Kill Team are the people that are not necessarily enjoying Kill Team as it is now. And I think there's a big chunk of people, myself included, who I enjoyed Kill Team when I first started playing it, but as it kind of grew lots of expansions and became a bit more convoluted, it didn't really turn out to be the game that I hoped it would. And that's my personal opinion on the game, so I kind of stopped playing it. I think there are people like me who are potentially looking forward to this change. But there are a lot of people who really, really think that Kill Team's great. It needed the few rough edges knocking off it. It needed some addition of stuff to kind of to improve it and give it a bit more kind of longevity, as opposed to a complete rehaul. This is almost, in a maybe smaller sense, a little bit like getting rid of Warhammer Fantasy and bringing in Age of Sigmar. I appreciate you can still use the same models and stuff, but it is completely changing the game. It's not going to be the same game that people are playing now. So I think it's just they feel like the change is being done to them, and I think they feel a bit powerless, really. So during any change, when people are changing things like this, information is power. And if people don't feel that they've got enough information to kind of, about the new rules, about when it's coming out, what the price is going to be, all these kind of things, they feel that things are being kept from them and that the game isn't going to be as good as the last one. They instantly start to focus on the negative side rather than the positive. And what happens is any gaps in people's knowledge gets filled with rumours and gossiping, and YouTube channels start trying to they try to guess what they think it's going to be, and Facebook groups start pitching in ideas, and then you get like chatter on Reddit and stuff. And this is fine. It's fun to sort of hypothesize about what you think it can be, but sometimes that can lead to people kind of getting the wrong end of the stick and then becoming really fearful about something that actually they don't know anything about. So the thing to kind of remember is, do I know enough to be worried about this? Or is it just kind of hearsay? Is it just internet chatter? Now, in the instance of Kill Team, Glass Half Dead has done a good video where him and some others have put a lot of time in to try and kind of take some snapshots from the reveal video at the weekend and try and break down what they think they've saw and kind of make a best guess at it. And I watched the video today, and I think they've done a pretty decent job of trying to kind of analyse it. But we must stress that they haven't got the full rule book. The folks that have been trying to kind of analyse this, there might be some context that's missing, like there's something on a page that we haven't seen that makes something play completely differently. So I think you have to kind of take some of this with a grain of salt, and also be kind of a little bit, there's nothing wrong with being wary about change, but I wouldn't say you have to fear change. Change can be, like fear in change can be like an irrational fear if you don't have the information to be able to kind of make a rational decision on it. If you're frightened of a change of something purely based upon the fact that change is coming, then it's kind of irrational. If you know everything about the change and it's really not what you want, then it's rational. You're entitled to kind of have that kind of fear of it. But I think we just need to sometimes sort of let these things play out. And as I said before, I think the way that the games are marketed, the way that they're kind of explained by the companies that change them, goes a long way to stopping this kind of this fear. So what can companies do different that would kind of kill some of this sort of fear of change? They can give some information out early. They can give folks time to get used to the fact that change is coming, and not feel like they've been tricked. I've seen a few things on Facebook over the last couple of days where people are saying, oh, like it's only a month ago I bought the Kill Team rulebook, and I bought Pariah Nexus, and I've bought the Elites expansion, and I've bought Commanders, and I've been painting some stuff up to get it ready, and I've not even had my first game yet. And I know these are kind of few and far between, but if Games Workshop tend not to give people a lot of notice on this type of stuff. Yes, there's been rumours about a new Kill Team coming, but not everybody's all over the internet. Not everybody's all over every group, kind of like looking at the rumours and kind of suggestions. So I can imagine there are some people who feel a bit aggrieved about this type of stuff. It's happened before with things like codexes, where a new codex comes out, and then not long after it, another codex comes out to replace it. I think recently we've had a couple with things like Sisters of Battle, I think was something like that. And I think off the top of my head, the what they called, the Cow Elves, I forget their name now. I think they basically had, I thought I'd remember the name, but I haven't. I think they had something similar as well. The other thing, and one of the big things I think they can do, is if they share the rules or share more about the rules quite early in the process. And I was really disappointed that they show this great trailer. They show the little trailer about all the different components in the box. They literally went through an unboxing live on the stream, which kind of is what all the YouTube channels normally do when they get all their stuff 5 minutes before release. However, they did not mention the rules at all. And it was almost a case of, look at all these cool models. Like, don't worry about the rules. You can worry about that later. We're going to drip feed you some information over the next few weeks about that. I would have liked to have seen more information. Like if they'd said, like, these are the sort of, like, these are the big 5 talking points about the new rules or something like that. It would have been nice to present people who are interested and excited by it or worried about it with more information about what the changes are. Because models are models. At the end of the day, yes, they're beautiful models and people love them and they love seeing the new shiny toys. But the folks that really kind of kept this game alive and the folks that have really been invested in Kill Team are worried about the changes to the game. And I personally think Games Workshop and other companies that kind of release updated rule sets and things could actually give a little bit more information up front to let people kind of digest some of that stuff. So what can we do as gamers, as consumers, as customers of these companies? What can we do to try and kind of get over that fear of the fear of change? The first thing is we should wait for the facts. We should wait for the full information. It is fun to speculate, like I said before, but don't take rumours and speculation as facts. You often in communities get this what's called groupthink, which is essentially one vocal person has this idea and a couple of other people go, yeah, I agree with that as well. I think it could be that. And before you know it, like, ideas have become fact. And like, I've seen a lot of it with this Kill Team where some people saying, oh, they're just turned it into Warcry, and some people saying, well, it's nothing like Warcry, it's just this bit's like Warcry. We've seen a smattering of the rules, and it looks like some of the things are inspired by Warcry as opposed to they've just taken the Warcry rules and dumped them into Kill Team. So I think just remember, like, it's fun to speculate, it's fun to guess, it's fun to see if you were right about something, and it's nice to kind of like see little glimpses of stuff like we've seen with some of these kind of zoomed in pictures from the stream. But until you've got the full picture, like, don't overreact to it. You can also look for the positives, not the negatives. No game ever is perfect. There's no such thing as the perfect game. So even the one that you play now and the one that's your favourite will have some parts of it that can be improved upon. So when you see this new stuff coming, try to look for the things actually that are positive for you, and it just reframes your sort of your mind a little bit to not look for the negative stuff and then not fear this change that's coming. Because at the end of the day, change has to happen, doesn't it? Like we have, like at the end of the day, these companies make money, and I mean all companies, not just Games Workshop. They all make money by selling new things. And Games Workshop has a routine of every 3 years or so updating their major rule sets, which is kind of happening with this. 2018, I think it was, Kill Team came out. 2021, we've got this new version. And they make changes, and it generates new books to buy, and it generates new excitement, and it generates more money. So understanding that change is always going to happen, and that basically you have a choice, basically, to just get on board with that change, or just stay and play the game that you always did. And another thing, or the last thing I would say, is that sometimes understanding why the change is happening. Like I say, it might be to fix a game that's not performing very well, purely from the rules have got a bit bloated and they become a little bit unwieldy. Or, as I said before, it might be just the company needs to kind of make some more money. And sometimes just understanding why the change is happening just takes the edge off that fear of the unknown, if you like. So that's what I wanted to kind of talk about tonight, really, but just about this fear of change. I think people are frightened about there being a big change when it comes to Kill Team, but we see this with every rule set. We see this with the latest edition of AOS 3, which just recently released. We saw some of this chatter when N4 for Infinity released. We see it when Kings of War upgraded to a 3rd edition. Even though they're not massive changes, when something's coming, and it tends to be something relatively big within that game's kind of life cycle, people start to fear that change. So yeah, just think about, am I rationally thinking about this? Am I getting upset, or am I getting fearful of things that haven't happened yet? Or do I have some genuine concerns because I now understand the full picture, and I've kind of made a rational decision about whether this is something I'm kind of concerned about?
Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.